Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And hello, everybody. So glad to be with you. Another amazing Spiritual Rockstar podcast show. And I am just so excited to share someone who I've connected with. And it's one of those things, when you've connected with somebody on that, the multidimensional planes and the deeper planes, and you just get like, oh yeah, we've got an appointment or something. That's definitely what I've experienced with Sydney. And I'm just so grateful. She's up to so many things, it feels like to me anyway. And she has an amazing new app she's brought out there in the world, Send. But she'll have so much wisdom to share with you. Even more importantly, perhaps, is she has so much wisdom to share about being, super present, no matter what's going on. Boy, do we get disconnected on these social platforms. How can we ascend? How can we deepen into our presence? We're going to learn all about that with Sydney today. So welcome to the show, Sydney.
Thank you, Daniel. It's really nice to be here with you.
Likewise. All right, so let's go ahead and share some more. Sydney Campos is a visionary, psychic energy healer, strategy expert, and best-selling author of The Empath Experience, What to Do When You Feel Everything. Wow, yeah, that's experience for a lot of empaths, right? She is the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Ascend and host of the Visionary Souls podcast. Sydney is devoted to creating heaven on earth in all moments, whether advising on marketing and strategy for conscious companies, mentoring visionary leaders to embody their highest vision in all areas of life, training shamanic facilitators, or architecting the world's next social community. Sydney illuminates bridges into new dimensions. Sydney is a sought-after expert in the fields of embodiment, sexuality, intuition, and leadership. Sydney has been featured in Forbes, MindBodyGreen, Refinery 29, Bustle, PureWow, or Wow, so I want to say Pow, PureWow, and New York Magazine. When she's not at home in Tulum, Mexico, Sydney can be found exploring her favorite vortexes in Bali, Hawaii, Sedona, Mount Shasta, and the Mediterranean, Europe. So her new book is I'm Ascending, Now What? Summer 2023 with St. Martin's Essentials. So very cool, very, very cool. So yeah, this is the first time we're formally meeting in the so-called 3D, right? So it's really, really exciting. So Sydney, I'm just going to ask you, like, what kind of brought you down this whole path? Everybody's got a different story. Some people are like, since I was with my rattle, I was ascending and I knew it and I was on. That's rare though. Most people have some other sort of, path where they were confused or fragmented earlier in life or whatever, different things they've experienced that led them to where they are now. So I'm curious, always curious about people's paths, especially in this case, meeting you kind of very formally for the first time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was born really sensitive and could feel everything and see a lot more than it felt like most people could see, and um, chose a great family to come in to learn from in terms of like really intense trauma and addiction and abuse, and went through a lot of pain and was very disassociated for a very long time because it was too painful to feel at the level of intensity that I had access to. And I didn't have role models or support around how to manage my energy or how to make sense of all the information I was getting psychically. And so I just kind of popped out of my body for most of my life. I didn't even know until I, started to learn what embodiment was about. And yeah, I was really involved in drugs and alcohol from a young age. So from around 14 to 24, I used alcohol and drugs to just blast even further out of my body. So just blast out of the anxiety I was constantly feeling, the paranoia, the stress, the fear. So overwhelming, I just wanted to shut off. And then yeah, I had a lot of like near death experiences and tried to get sober a few times, but didn't until I was 24. So really hit a very painful rock bottom, which involved everything from like hospitalization to getting arrested to just so much shame, a lot of shame and living a double life and just really like just dying inside. And chose, I think it was just God's grace, honestly, showed me that I could ask for help and I could stop living the way that I was living. It was so scary to even think about not drinking again because I didn't know what I was how could I live without that? It was such a medicine for me to be able to just survive in the world, to shut off my senses and the overwhelm and the anxiety. But I just knew if I kept doing that, I was going to die and I needed to stop. And so I got sober, which involved like going to 12-step meetings in New York at the time. And yeah, and just doing that work in recovery for many years. And then through that too, early on, learning about my energy healing abilities and intuition and just being guided to energy healers and just having a lot of awakening and multidimensional awakening experiences, while also still doing the work of recovery and like just learning about my nervous system and healing trauma and learning about embodiment and actually being in the body, and yeah, I would say it's just a never ending road, honestly. Like the more I learn, the more I realize like the less I know. It's like embodiment is just infinite as long as we're alive. And I'm extremely humbled to be alive and to really feel, I can feel myself and I can touch into presence more often than not. And I can feel resourced to meet most challenges in a way that I never would have imagined being possible before. Things that would have just taken me out for days with anxiety or grief or anger or whatever was happening. Now I can, because I've built so much stability in my body, it's like, wow, I can really like weather any storm that's coming up in life. Life is always going to be testing us and training us and seeing, what did we really do the work? Are we really like holding ourselves in center and in presence? Are we really being compassionate? And so that's really what my life and my path and what I share is about now is just like really helping people. And as I continue my own work too, like helping us all learn about the nervous system and how we must be present. That's like the priority in all of life is like deeper presence and connection.
Yeah, it's so great. I love everything with sharing your background and everything because that's the path of a lot of people.
Mm,
A lot of people that aren't considered spiritual too. There's tons of empaths that aren't considered. They don't. I'm spiritual, but they end up in drugs and addiction, everything because they can't deal with all that. Like so. I definitely the
mm,
empath route as well, and for me, I don't know. Like I just kind of, I just try to be invisible is what happened for me when I was a teenager. Anyway, I was just like, let me just kind of duck under, and one of these days I'll come out and play in the world, and it's kind of more of my coping strategy, I guess. And then just being depressed and anxious and all that sort of thing, and yeah, everybody has their own way of trying to deal with that. Because I mean, again, like 90, 100, or to 100% of the audience, they're empathic, right? Like everybody is empathic, maybe to some level, right?
mhm.
But those of us that experience like huge amounts of energy in different ways, especially other people's energies. But it is also a super gift, right? This ability to be super connected. I mean, like, so the downside, getting back to that, and I'll get into maybe the plus side and how to work with it, is for me, I've always felt like I can't really be myself. I'm going to be misunderstood, right? Like I almost felt like you might have felt that today with me for a moment. Like, okay, he doesn't get it,
Mm.
but like, right? Like, but yeah, like that feeling,
Aw.
yeah, misunderstood, or I'm misunderstood, um, and like you can't like just tell somebody, listen, I know what you're thinking, like. What I mean? Things like that, like this with the psychic abilities too, like, or you're in the middle of a card game, like I did this once with my kids, like I literally just was like interested in being really sharp. I'm like, yeah, I can see all their cards in my mind right now. And then I'm told, don't do that. You're cheating. You can't look at their cards. And I'm like, oh, so it's cheating when I use my gifts. Oh my God, like so like
Mm,
and then when we speak truth, like most of us empaths are big feelers, or we're also big truth tellers. So you go to tell your truth, well, when you're not fully integrated and embodied, especially then, even then, but you're going to, get feedback like, oh, yeah, for me, it was always you're too argumentative, or we're going to put you in jail for a while. Like when I was in grad school, we're putting you in jail. You're causing trouble. We don't like that. We're putting you in jail. You need therapy. You need all kinds of things. So we find ours, or you try to conform, and then and in that case, like for example, like you say, conform, or else you don't get out of here. You're not going to get your degree. All right, I want my degree. I'll conform, right? It's like the carrot and the stick kind of thing in the world. Like, you be the way we say you to be, or else, and like, oh, okay. I don't know, so we're not don't have an experience of standing in our own presence and power and our own truth. Like, oh, I guess I've got to do this thing, right? But it goes again and again, and our resentment takes us. I'm just speaking like what I see in it. Like our resentment takes
mhm,
us to things. For me, smoking or whatever, different things, different vices or whatever, and for you, you mentioned drugs, alcohol. It takes us to different things to try to kind of as an FU, really off, and then the cope, too. But like it's an FU at the same time. Screw you, like I'll give
mhm.
you a one, then I'm gonna drink my drink it away or whatever. I don't know, like that sort of vibe. And so it's, man, it's but I'm grateful for what you're doing. If people can just learn like earlier, right? Like the early education, especially. Like I have kids and everything, like just trying to educate people. And even with our kids, they're not always wanting to hear everything all the time. They're like, hey, this is the way it could work better, and this is how to try, but trying to, I always know, like by our own example is the number one thing we can do. Like our own example. We can tell people everything, but like if we're not living it, forget it. Like,
Yeah,
I know I'm doing
absolutely.
a lot of talking here, but I won't keep doing this for long. But like I have a client, like I just was driving me nuts. I just did a whole podcast where, not the whole time, but a small segment, I brought this up. I'm like, this person is a spiritual teacher, and because he's being challenged right now, he's not living his teaching. And then I have to come in and be like, come on, man, you can do it. Like, trust enough, do this, get connected. And
Mm,
so it could happen to anybody. It could happen to anybody where we get disconnected, we get stressed out, and all of a sudden we're an old place. Man, I haven't felt like this in 20 years or whatever, right? And or
mhm.
whatever it may be. And so it's an ongoing journey. I think so much, we're so hard on ourselves. We're perfectionists. We're always, oh, I screwed it up again, or whatever our story is. But anyway, so I almost like where people are just dropping in on a conversation and us getting to know each other at this point. That's good. So Cindy, so what popped from what kind of emerged for me when I started sharing with you, like all the things that are coming through, like in response to kind of what you were saying.
Mm. Well, I really love the point about an empath in a disempowered state or in a really empowered state where someone is living their truth and really sharing their gifts and is taking care of themselves. And I lived a lot of my life in the disempowered state, which was unconsciously, taking on a lot of energy from other people and really just taking on a lot. My body was so stressed out and exhausted, and
Mhm.
I didn't know any better, but it was just so much, just so tired. And I was just running so fast. And I was doing, 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 trying to distract myself from feeling because it was so much. And I couldn't feel myself. It was so hard to learn how
Mhm.
to actually feel myself and my needs and my desires and to differentiate from everyone else. I had become so much more attuned to other people, more so than to myself. So it was really this feeling of self-abandonment and really deep, like, yeah, abandonment of myself. Just like I wanted so badly to be in connection with myself, but I didn't know how. And I couldn't do that. I didn't even have the awareness that I wanted that until I started to get clean and got the drugs and the other interference out of my system. And then even after that, it was like just this heartbreaking feeling of like, oh my God, I'm the only one that's like in the way of what I want and really connecting with my true essence and my heart and what I want and to have true authentic connections with people. And I just had so much protection. So I was so disassociated as well. I mean, I wasn't, and I thought I was actually pretty embodied even like years into my practice and teaching and healing, and there's just more and more and more layers to clear and more armor to let go of. And and then as an empowered person using empathic gifts and psychic gifts in a really nourishing, fun way, that's just been so expansive and beautiful. And especially to share with other people that have their spiritual gifts kind of coming online and learning about boundaries and energetic management, and that you don't have to be an open channel all the time. You can actually discern and say when you're available and when you're not, and have office hours. And I love playing with people in multiple dimensions and just like normalizing that we're multidimensional beings, and being human is the ultimate spiritual experience. Like we're all spiritual beings. Like that's the whole point of being alive, is being a magical divine being here to give a great gift. And so yeah, I love just acknowledging that, and everything we want comes from presence. Like we have it all. We have it all when we can tune in with our heart, with our desire and our authenticity, and be present. And yet it's also the greatest challenge I feel in our society to do that, because everything in our world almost is programmed to take us out of presence, to take us out of ourselves, to compare, to compete, to want more things, to be enough, and just all of it. It's fascinating. Like we picked such
Yeah.
a cool game to come play on this planet, to really learn about ourselves and what we feel is most true.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple, let it be easy, let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Oh my God, I hope we don't make it too fun. Like, well, let's bring in even more fragmentation. It's like, okay, I've had about enough, I think. I don't know if I'd want more. So yeah, there's so much. And like you've got all different ways of help. There's all these different ways we can shift that though for ourselves. So like one of the main, one of the ways right away, just a very tangible way, is like to stop feeding into the fragmentation by, all right, I don't know, for me anyway, this is how I feel. And I've experimented both ways, by the way. I've done like, okay, I'm going to keep my nose in the news and keep up to date and see what's going on. And, I've done that. I've done ignoring the news. I'm not going to watch any news. No news ever. It's none of that news stuff. And, try all different, I'm an experimenter, right? So I just, okay, let me see for myself. Let me see how this works. And like I find my life is far better when I listen to the news less. I just personally, like when I don't allow myself, even on social media platforms, up on outside of your beautiful platform, if I don't allow myself to, if I'm in the intention and I'm of the focus, I'm not into all these crazy posts or wild with the energy. For me, that works better. It just works for me better. I feel better. I feel stronger. I looking for the positive, and then there is. I think like we just can't overstate like how much these phones and technology, especially the phone, right? Like it's part of our being almost, like we've allowed
Mhm.
it to be, right? It's like it's in our hands, like a lot of the time, or in our pockets at least, right? We're constantly got around, and it's fun and it's addictive and everything. And at the same time, there's all these hazards, there are all these
Mhm.
fragmentation. Like this is what's creating a lot of that inner fragmentation, or at least exposing it, or however you want to look at it.
It's a whole different nervous system. I mean, I just had a week here a couple weeks ago where I was just off my phone for a whole week, and I was doing a tantra training immersion like in the jungle, and it was such a great gift to just
Yeah.
be offline and in nature and with great people and just doing practices and playing and like meditating and just so nourishing. And the feeling of being back on my phone after that was such a huge contrast. And I really felt like the energy, like the phone wanted to like suck my energy, and
Right.
like energy vampire. And that just all of, but I also saw it as a training opportunity of like, wow, okay, like talk about empaths again, right? It's like, wow, how is this relationship challenging me to create an even better level of discernment and
Right.
boundaries and standards and just clarity about how I'm relating to this and take any power back that I've given to it, especially to social media or to the idea of like, yeah, even my email or just the phone as this amazing tool. I mean, we're connected because of technology,
Right.
because of social platforms, and I've met some of the most amazing people and clients and friends and, amazing community through these mediums. But there's also this deep invitation to really get honest with ourselves about our power and how much energy we're giving to these, sources of connection, and what are we really prioritizing? What is actually real and what matters is our energy and our body and how are we feeling and how are we being? And
Yeah.
then only from that place of presence and connection with ourselves, maybe we choose to go relate on to someone on Facebook, but we're able to do so with more of an observation capacity instead of a like, vampiric, like getting sucked into that whole game, which really just wants to literally drain your energy and your attention. And this is how all of these social platforms were designed. They were really designed to, hook our energy and our attention. And even the way that they're designed, like with the notifications and the little red, number notifications, and just all of it is, it's very coded to
Yes.
keep us on the screen as long as possible, to hit on our wounds so that we can, deepen in that yearning for something outside of us to complete us. I mean, that's all really architected quite brilliantly to make money for advertising, and
Mhm.
so, and that's been a big part of my life. My business has been, I was in advertising and marketing before I got into healing, before, early sobriety. I was like doing that, working with major brands. And I love advertising and marketing as a way to infiltrate mass consciousness in a capitalist society. Like if we have more conscious people in media creating stories that help to shift people's ideologies and beliefs and behaviors, like that's really exciting to me. So I love that experience, and it's always colored everything I do with clients, with coaching clients, business coaching, that kind of thing. And then 2.5 years ago, we got the guidance to create this app. It didn't come through directly as that, but it was just this like literal direction from God. Like you're going to build this new platform that is fifth dimensional social media for the world so that people can, while we do have the digital space to play on, let's create a clear playing field without interference, without toxicity, without censorship, without any agenda other than to help people truly connect and share. And
Mhm.
so that's Ascend, and it's been growing really well. And actually, a lot of momentum, I think, now, because especially TikTok stands to get banned probably in the
Yeah.
United States. And
Mhm.
Ascend is also short form video, very similar interface in some ways, very different in others. But I would say just from a nervous system standpoint, like I was on TikTok the other day for the first time, just for the sake of connecting with people to invite them to Ascend, honestly.
Mhm.
I'm writing in the comments like TikTok's probably going to get banned, like love your content, check out Ascend, like come over here.
Right.
And we met some great people doing that, but just being on TikTok, the energy of
Mhm.
the interface, it was so jarring to
Mhm.
my body. I was like, wow, it's so loud, it's so fast, it's all I could feel. And I just encourage everyone to like bring that level of discernment to anything you're doing on your phone. Like notice if what you're doing is trying to hook you in, is trying to take your energy. It feels very jarring. It feels like it's literally can feel like hooks in your field.
Yeah.
And just notice, like it's a really good way of practicing. Like, wow, take my power back from that. Come back to center, come back to presence.
Mhm.
Put the phone down, put the screen down, like see how these tools, how we allow them to affect us, and then what we designed with Ascend is just calm. It's like no one's trying to grab anything from you. It's like very inviting. It's a new nervous system, honestly. That was my guidance in designing it. It was like, it's a
Mhm.
new nervous system that's co-regulatory, and it helps people to sink into really a new value system of like fair exchange and like balanced energy and just sharing for creativity's sake and authenticity. And yeah, I mean, it was really divinely inspired. I think it's a bit ahead of its time. A lot of the planet is still figuring itself out in terms of the value and self-worth game. And so, current social media really plays into that. People proving their value and their worth through fake followers and, having these big audiences, and Ascend doesn't allow for any of that. We don't even show your followers or following. That doesn't matter. What matters is your contribution based on the content that you share and how valuable it is as rated by the community. So it's a really different feel. And I think next year is going to be a really big year for us in terms of like more mass adoption and people meeting in that space to play. I mean, the guidance I got in creating that was we are creating a virtual plane in which people can practice the behaviors, the ethics, the consciousness required in a thriving planet.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's so great. I mean, Facebook, like for example, I'll just talk. So TikTok, I haven't been on, so I don't have a reference point for TikTok other than the reels I see on other platforms, right? And what everybody is talking about it and everything. But so, but I, like my youngest, she's 14 going on 15 actually in a few days, and
Wow.
she's can be on there for hour, 2 hours or more right at a time, and it's just like it's not like anything's all bad either, right? Like yes, it's not the best, but at the same time, like I can't believe, for better or worse, all the things she knows, like in many levels too, not so like she knows, she's like, oh yeah, I know all about that, I saw a TikTok on it. I'm like, so if that was consciously designed in the right way, and then maybe we're seeing some of that on set, I just joined it, so I can't really speak to it directly yet, but I love the energy of it already. Just getting in there, you could feel right away. It just, oh, it just feels like a learning platform. We all get to learn from each other and share our energy with each other. Immediately, that's the feeling I had. Like, this isn't about like, okay, who's the biggest and the baddest in here, and kind of that vibe, carries in some of the other platforms, for sure. So, but you just get in there, you just, I agree. The nervous system so far, I'm just like, okay, just chill out and connect, and like it's really cool. But yeah, this other stuff can be really good because you get those when they're short, you have a short period of time to talk, right? Man, let's break this thing down quickly. People can learn things really quick. So they can be a good thing if it's designed right? So I'm really grateful for a platform like yours emerging, because I'm praying every day, can there be a better opportunity? Because it's not because I want to be on all these other ones necessarily, ultimately it's the optimal, but I just don't know of an alternative that sounds better to me yet. Like, so who knows? I'm on Ascend now. So come join us there. Let's see. Let's play on Ascend at least some and get started there at least, and then see where it goes from there, right? I mean, you don't have to like get rid of everything, all at once or anything. And like, just start playing with some of these new platforms. Like there's been there's a lot of them now, but they don't all speak to me. And so far this one is like Insight Timer is sort of an alternative.
Oh, yeah, they're great. I've tracked them since
Yeah.
the very beginning, and
Yeah.
I was like, when I have a bunch of meditations on there, and I love what they've built, and it's just the feeling of it there. It's so
Yes.
good. And so Ascend, I would love to partner with Insight Timer actually at some level. I think that could be a really good partnership. But we created a space where it's like all the best features of all the social platforms, and it makes it in one, and it makes it really easy for anybody to make money creating. Anybody can be a creator. You don't have to be an influencer. Like anybody can tip you right in your post, and it's just the whole thing just feels so much more fun to me.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait till there's more people there to play with. Already we have an amazing community. I love what people are sharing. It all feels like it's shared in a different frequency. It feels like it's more shared from the heart and more just like real and
Mhm.
creative. And that feels really exciting to me.
Yeah, because you're gonna have less people using masks there. Number one, because of the audience, but number two, because it's like because literally like the intention that's flowing through the platform,
Yeah.
those that have created it, you being in the front, I guess,
Hmm.
is created it that way. So you're
Yep,
already into
exactly.
that intentional field. So you won't feel like, oh, I gotta be something completely different, or I need all my filters today, or whatever. I mean, you could just
Exactly.
show up more as who you just are, right? I mean, that's beautiful.
Exactly, yeah, and that's really a good point for everybody. Anything that we create, it's like has our energy signature in it,
Mm,
and look at these other platforms, like, and who created them and what the original intention was too. Of like Facebook was a hot or not site when it started. Instagram was like a bourbon, hot or not type of like platform. And YouTube got big because of Janet Jackson's like nipple slip at the Super Bowl. It's just there are just none of them had an intention at their inception to help people grow or learn or expand, so we build the whole platform of Ascend with these intentions in mind, with
mhm,
clarity, with authenticity. These are values, transparency. We're not trying to rip anyone off or have any back end agendas of selling people's data to advertisers. Like, we actually just want to do the right thing and help create a space where people can truly connect and kind of like actually deliver on the promise of what social media could be, because we are a digital world and we can use these tools for great good. I know that. I've experienced it. We just need better infrastructure that allows these really high frequency energies we're receiving to effectively translate. A lot of these other platforms as well, I noticed, don't allow the energy we receive to translate it, fully, because it's like blocked at some level, like from going through. Like, just another thing I track. But I love your point about just our energy signature and being authentic and being in our presence, embodied as much as we can, is going to inform the magnetism, the resonance of anything we make, and it allows us to create with so much more ease. We get more clear direction and guidance as to our next steps and what we're supposed to be making or doing. And yeah, and I'm constantly humbled by the practice of presence, but I just know it's the key.
yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I can't wait to play in there and start really diving in. So what are some of the, so we've been talking, I think it's so important, like just this whole shifting our nervous system and everything that you're talking about with social media, and that how Ascend's changing it and everything, and people being more mindful. I wanted to talk about too, about your energy. What are you putting why do you feel crazy at the end of the day? What have you been focusing on your phone? That might have something to do with it. Like, think
Mhm.
about it, right? I love like, many, many years ago, I'll never forget just a simple thing like Joel Osteen saying from stage, it might not be the demons getting you, it might be the pancakes, like what are you doing that's impact? Because people always say everything's, you probably hear this, like everything's really big up in the energies and everything's messing with us today. And okay, well,
Mhm.
is that really true? Or is it just like you need to take responsibility for what's coming up for you and work with yourself and like clear the energy? Like there's people every single day, no matter what you say is happening, energies that feel good, they feel blissful, they're highly productive, they feel
Mhm.
great, they're healthy. So I don't buy the story that it's just because something's up in the energy, like automatically we're all in a shit can, so to speak. Like it's not that way. Yes, there's something to it, but it's not as much as we give our power away to the idea. Is my
Mm.
point. We need to be more,
Yeah.
oh, great, Mercury's in retrograde. I should be aware of that. Okay, now how do I want to consciously proceed? How do I want to play? I could play with that program. Oh, we got to shut it down, no transaction. Or you could say, you know what? I know, but I want to do transactions. I'm ready for that. I'm in the intentional field. That's what I want. And things will go well. I swear to God, I've seen it for me and so many. So, yeah,
I
what's
love
your
this
take on all
point.
that? I'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah, I just love this point. It reminds me of a teacher I was working really closely with for a few years, and I just recently, a few months ago, kind of stopped working with him just to
Mhm,
really resource myself and my
mhm,
channel, because I noticed I had given a lot of power to his insight, which had a lot to do with energy updates and like, readings on the planetary currents. And And I'm like, I just started to feel eventually like, wait a minute, like to what extent am I gave a lot of power to what this person's saying? Like that doesn't necessarily need to be my experience. That's
Right.
even if someone's gift is to give a reading astrologically, energetically, whatever, cosmically on the planetary currents, which I also do, we can all do ourselves,
Mhm.
it's like that might not be true for me. And to what extent have I given power to that person to actually let that insight inform my experience? So I started to disconnect from that. Like, wait a minute, no, like, let me actually just kind of like what you were saying about the news. I just turned it off and I just returned back to my own presence. And it's like, it doesn't need to be a story
Mhm.
about what's happening. And a lot of times I'm not wrapped up in whatever the collective energy, the loudness that's happening
Mhm.
is I'm not wrapped up in that. I'm not tapped into that. And that's okay. And I used to think that there was something wrong if I wasn't tapped in on to that because it hits on the wound of belonging or not feeling a part of or not feeling like I can relate to humanity. If everyone's going through it and I'm not going through it, there must be something wrong,
Mhm.
and it's like, no, actually, like when everyone's going through it, like not all of us are have to be going through it too. In fact, some of us are here to help people through the hard times, and we
Yeah.
can't all be out on the same day. And so I love this point of like just really tracking discernment. And sometimes insights are really helpful. It can be so affirming. I've had people say this to me before. They're like, wow, you put words to how I've been feeling. Thank you. And I have people that do that for me sometimes. And I'm like, wow, thank you. That feels so good to have this experience that I'm having be articulated so clearly. Like, wow, that's helping me to integrate something.
Mhm.
And then always still in that, I'm not giving power to them, that they're saying this is how it is. Always when we're listening or when we're inspired by someone, I would encourage us all, and encourage myself to really like get our own translation, like, oh, cool, that's so helpful. And that insight is so profound. And also, like, what do I notice is true for me? Like, what else do I see in addition to this? And this is how we take our power back from a lot of the collective conditioning that says, like, it's Mercury retrograde. That means this, and you don't do that. And
Right.
no, you can do whatever you want. And sometimes I get guidance to launch stuff when astrologically it's like, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, but your guidance is gonna tell you what's right for you, and we're all on different timelines and trajectories. So I love this emergence we're all experiencing. It's like emergence into authenticity, into our uniqueness, into our unique channel. Everyone has a different channel, and kind of like exiting out of the belonging identity, like needing to belong and relate, especially around like wounding or these energy currents. And yeah, I watch myself sometimes as a way I'll relate sometimes to people. I'll be like, "Yeah, it's intense out there. Like, how are you feeling?" And
Right.
sometimes that's true and it's
Right.
fun to relate in
Right.
that way, but
Right.
sometimes it's also like, I don't know, is it really true? Is that really helpful?
We're
Or
just in a trance, right? Like,
no.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're in this thing.
Kind of, or it's just one of those things where it's like, "How are you?" But you're not actually asking like, "How are you really?" I don't
Right.
know, there's something I'm hopefully evolving out of around that, and just
Yeah.
I really wanna be real with every person I come into contact with and treat every interaction as, it's such a gift to be able to relate and interact, and let's bring our full presence and authenticity to each connection.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be a way to possibly, I'm not saying this happens for everybody, but possibly to disconnect in other ways too. Like when we're talking about not feeling, well, I don't need to feel anything. It's
Mm.
just these energies are messing. It's not nice
Yeah.
going on really within me. Like it's just the energies. Like you're not really taking even a deeper, closer look at what's really going on for you. Like you said, like what's really going on for you? Is it, if it wasn't the energies, like what's really going on for you? And then we get really more closer to the deeper truths of what's really going on for you. And so yeah, so that's amazing. So how so you're in this practice of
Mm.
like I want to be connected in every moment is what how I'm hearing it from you. Like I need to be, I want to be it's my commitment or whatever, your devotion, however you want to look at. But hey, I'm going to be as connected as possible, as embodied as possible. So how does somebody do that? Because there's hooks and triggers all day long, right? All that we're all everybody. I mean, unless you, again, maybe if you're in a cave somewhere, but even then, oh my God, I heard a bird outside, I'm triggered. Like we're so sensitive because like I went for a walk this morning and our neighborhood's perfectly peaceful in a nice neighborhood. There's no dangers big time
Mm,
around here at all. I'm walking down the sidewalk and I become aware of there's a man walking on the sidewalk on the other side. And I'm not consciously thinking this, but I could feel my subconscious saying, what if there's a threat? You're in the open air, you're exposed. Like literally, like these things are going on all the time, but mostly we just tune it. It's like background noise we don't usually pay attention to. But our nervous system is like gearing up for possible danger, for protection all the time, right? So how do we, so-called, get into such a super connected state, consistently or all the time, sort of, when
mm.
there's all these subconscious things going on, much less what our conscious mind is thinking and going on. Like, can you start giving us some tips on that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my new book has like everything I've
Wow.
ever learned in it, so that'll
Mhm.
be really helpful. I'm so excited for that to be out in the world, and it's all about healing trauma and nervous system healing, basically, and just like how do you build I had to build a body, basically. I had to build a body in this life that I could actually be embodied in.
Mhm.
I didn't have a healthy nervous system in this life, and I learned how to build it like kind of from scratch. And a big part of that path has been somatic therapy and tons of different practices. And I would just say the most helpful couple tools to really start to cultivate presence and this sense of calm and ease and trust and receptivity that we naturally reside in when we're embodied and when we feel at home. I would say breath, movement, and sound. That's really it. And this is not new information. This is like ancient technology. It's like we're all saying the same thing at a certain point. But for me, a very specific breath I find to be very useful for really helping the nervous system rest, which is slow breathing. And it involves kind of like um, even like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you're breathing in through a really small little straw. So there's a little bit of a suppression of the breath, like on purpose to slow it down even more than you think. And you just breathe in. It looks like this. And you can do it with me if you'd like to try. Breathe in like through a smaller little straw, feeling your body fill up all the way. And even holding the breath at the top for a bit, feeling full breath, feeling your whole energy field expand. And then exhaling still through that really small straw, slowing down the exhale. And when you're completely empty, staying empty for just a little bit, noticing how this feels. Yeah. And then, just doing that really simple practice for a couple minutes, even 3 minutes, 5 minutes can change your life, can change your
Yeah.
body. If you do that consistently, it changed my life. So that's huge. And then I would add to that toning. That's another thing that's been super healing and fun and helpful and helped to open up the throat chakra and make it, easier to speak your truth and feel your heart and clears all kinds of stuck stuff out of the body. Just toning any kind of sound. It doesn't have to be for anyone else but you. Just opening your voice and making any kind of sound. And even chanting along with mantras on YouTube is really fun. Any kind of toning, super fun. And then movement, any kind of movement that feels good. It's all basic, right? Like anything that feels, I mean, I just say that this is not new information. Like we all hear, yoga, meditation, but I guess what I want to say is like find the thing that you love. There's
Mhm.
not like one way, but
Mhm.
find movement. Movement for you might be like just stretching for 20 minutes on the ground, and maybe you only do two stretches the whole time. Myofascial release is huge for nervous system healing, for trauma healing, where you really get all the deep stuck stuff out of the tissues. And
Mhm.
maybe you use a foam roller or yoga balls or just like anything that gets into tight or painful areas of the body in a gentle way that it should feel good, where you're releasing. I highly recommend that. And then everybody's different. Like for my body type, it feels really good to do cardio and strength training. And that really helps me to be in a more calm state, especially if I feel a lot of emotional energy moving. That's a sign for me to get into motion, to run, to do more vigorous yoga, to go into the sauna, to do a cold plunge. Like there's so many ways we can help support our body to let go of stuck stuff and things that we didn't know we were holding from other people or from the environment. Cold plunge has been something I love doing. I mean, our ancestors knew to do this. You know, we only had like hot showers recently. It's like think about all the lifetimes we were going in the cold river or the cold ocean. And so that's really, really good for the body. And then done with the breath work, it's really, really good. And I love dancing. That's my favorite meditation. That's like my favorite practice for presence and embodiment, like really dancing from a place of like, how does my body want to move? Not from the mind, not from like, how does this look? What do people think of me? Whatever, but just like really sinking into the body and asking the body how it wants to move. And you might even move really slowly, like just
Mhm.
starting to get curious about how does your hand want to move through space? How does your foot want to move? And maybe you do this by yourself and you just
Mhm.
get lost in your own energy and your own expression. And, you
Yeah.
know, that can be so profound.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that helps you with the awakening part, because otherwise it's like you're just gonna tend to dance towards your old patterns, right?
Hmm.
Oh, we do like one of these, one of those, and whereas if you're just, yeah, when you're present like that, you're really awaken it. I always, what I've noticed with that for myself, and I talk about this too, is yeah, the more we can allow that, the more I've realized, wow, we're so busy trying to circumvent being in the full connection, and we run patterns instead, and we don't realize that the patterns, although they might be enjoyable, they're not nearly as enjoyable as deepening into the connected presence, like you, because we just don't trust it. We're like, well, at least my mind knows what I'm doing, when I go with the
Hmm.
patterns, when I dance or whatever it is we're doing, at least I know what, the usual, at least I know what that
Hmm.
is. And I don't know what I'm doing. I just follow my connection from source. I don't know what's going to happen. And like with my experience is, it's always far better than what my mind says. This is good, this is safe, or this is,
Hmm.
or makes me more important now, or shows me off, and whatever, all the sorts of approval, or blowing me up, and look how incredible I am, or oh, the minute you think that, though, right, when it comes from that place, then it won't be long before you feel like you're the worst thing ever, right? So it's up and down, right? I'm the greatest thing that's ever happened. I'm so damn smart, and man, I'm so stupid, right? It goes back and forth. That's what I've
We're
found
really
anyway. It goes from
learning.
one pole to the
Yeah.
other, back and forth.
Totally. I have had the loudest inner critic and the biggest shame body of like most people I've ever met. And I needed to have that growing up in the family I grew up with to survive, to
Mhm.
be in control, to have some semblance of order
Yeah.
amidst complete chaos. And a lot of my journey the last 10 years, 11 years since getting sober has been about like really cultivating discernment between those voices of the mind and the trauma body and the ones that just want to protect you and they just want the best for you because they're so afraid. And it's so familiar to run those patterns and programs, so it's safe, and but we must learn how to discern between those voices, and then there's something else to listen to. There's like the heart, the body, the divinity, your true self, your higher self. There's like your guides, all of the spiritual support that wants to come in and help share many other opportunities and choices that we wouldn't otherwise see if we were just letting the mind run the show, and so it's like anything that taps you into a flow state, that taps you into those moments where you're not thinking and you're not keeping track of time and you're just play. I love play. Like, how do you love to play? How do you love to have fun? Where do you just let go?
Mhm.
And how do you do more of that in your life? How do you intentionally create space in your life for those moments so that it can become more of a default way of being? And then eventually, and I've experienced this, it's like, oh, like that peaceful, calm playfulness, presence does become more anchored in as like a default state of being. And then sometimes, yeah, the mind will get activated or the nervous system will get triggered, and that's there and it can be really loud. But you
Yeah.
have this really strong center point of like, wait, no, that's my true self. Nothing's gonna mess with that. And this
Mhm.
craziness might be happening here, but I'm not gonna get lost in it,
Right.
and that's what we're all training in right now.
Right. You might get lost in it for a little while or even for a day or two or whatever, but you're it's possible. But because you so I don't know how to explain it in words, right? It's like you so
Mm,
like understand the truth, I want to say, or something like you understand like what your true self is, that you're like, I'm not centered in my true self or whatever, the present. But you know it and you're like, yeah, this
mm,
is not, I'm insane right now. Okay. I need to recenter, okay. Must not be meditating as much or whatever. Something must have slipped, right? And then you'll figure it out like really right away. And then yeah, I mean, just as simple as your breath. Yeah, maybe in 2 minutes you're right back. Who knows? But the mind's so insane. It'll be like, you're going to need a big meditation now. You're going to need a big one. And you don't have time for that either, right? So like, whereas it could be as simple as like a breath or two, even. I mean,
mhm.
mine is so dramatic always, and the answers are often, if not always, extraordinarily simple, really. So yeah, one last question. I just can't help it as we're starting to wrap up a little bit. There is, because I keep wanting to bring this up because there's so many messages. There's still plenty of messengers out there saying to jack up the nervous system, basically jack up their nervous system, feel like shit, feel like a piece of shit that you actually might be right now. But then as you start taking action, you start working hard, and you're already like, oh, don't say it. Like, but they're working hard and crushing everything. And like, you will finally be something and be somebody and you get success. And then they put poster childs up of these people, right? Here's a person, see what they've accomplished, see how much they got done. You can't be, everybody's getting too soft. You gotta be hard. You gotta be hard in these times,
Mm,
and everybody's too soft and everything. And I think it's pretty interesting. I think everything's speaking some sort of truth. Okay. So I'm not gonna say that there's no truth in what they're saying, but it goes to a whole nother extreme, right? And I listen to all these different perspectives because I know there's some truth in it. I'm like, is there a harder edge that I need to lean into inside of myself? Like that's how I hear it, rather than I gotta crush it. I need to be a slave to my wounds and try to prove myself constantly. Like that'll create
mm.
success. That's what gets me what I want. Oh, it's crazy.
Oh, that just feels so bad to me.
Right.
But listen, it all serves a purpose. I mean, a certain version of me in the past resonated with that probably because
Yeah,
I was in type A, New York, get it done, hustle. Like, yeah, totally. It all serves a purpose. It all serves a purpose to meet people where they're at on their path. But
yeah,
I mean, what comes up for me when I hear you say that is like it's an extreme. Like that's an
yeah.
extreme. Also, like meditating in a cave for 20 years is an extreme.
Right,
Like, there
right,
it's like
right.
let's try. And I'm a recovering extremist, like I
Mhm.
love extremes. I'm an adrenaline junkie. Like even still, these are parts of who I am, and I love that.
Mhm.
I love to have fun. And I can
Mhm.
sometimes be an extremist about that. I love connection. I love love. And I can be extreme
Mhm.
about that sometimes in certain ways. And so I'm always just finding like what is the more balanced central point for me to like
Mhm.
relate from? Where do I not lose myself?
Yeah.
And where am I not giving? Where can I just, really hold my energy and my power and not give it away to anything outside of me? And maybe someday I resonate with someone that's like, yeah, like you need to like do this and whatever, the more masculine, whatever.
Right.
I can't even
True.
say it like what you
True.
just did. And maybe there's medicine in that for me
Yeah.
someday, but maybe only if I'm relating to it from a place of like, this person or that energy isn't going to save me. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with me as I am, but I'm able
Right.
to maybe make a more neutral, calm, true decision about like, yeah, there's that person has something I can learn
Yeah.
from them. So I'm meant to interact with them, but it's not from this dynamic of like victim savior, which a lot of those really extreme people are playing at. They're like,
Yeah.
I have the solution, and they're playing into someone's wound of like, I don't know what to do. I'm alone and I have
That's
nothing,
true.
nothing to offer, and I need someone to save me. And that just never feels good, and it never really works out well in the long term.
Yeah, it is easy to take control of people that way. I've got the answer now. Listen to me, damn it. You know, like kind of energy. Like,
And people are frankly more used to that. Look at our society, our school
yeah,
system. Look at the way people are
yeah,
conditioned. It's safe. Like, just tell me what to do. Sometimes when I have a really hard time, my inner child will be like, I just want someone to tell me what to do. Because
yeah,
I never had that. I never had stability or support from adults. So,
yeah,
like, that will still come online sometimes much more subtly. But in the past, I would let that wound like make decisions for me and hire mentors and teachers that were coming from that place of wanting to fix something for me that was never their responsibility to fix, that wanted to take a bunch of my power. And there were all these distortions and frankly traumas that then took years to resolve. So
right.
again, it all serves its purpose, but we get to be really discerning of how we are orienting to everything in our reality, and hopefully being really present, is the key to that. It's like, wow, okay, let me resource myself. Am I calm? Am I centered?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do I relate to whatever this energy is that might be inviting me into something new?
Mm-hmm. So to calm down the nervous system, we want to take the cold plunges, meditation, conscious breath. I mean, what calms you down? What gets you feeling in your body? Gets you feeling connected? Come up with those practices and bring them into your life is what I'm hearing you say, basically. So that's the invitation, guys. And then you have the platform Ascend, and then you have your book that gives helps with calming down the nervous system too, with all it has in it. So can you tell people more about where to go to check everything out or learn more about everything?
Sure. Yeah, everything's on my website, sydneycampos.com. You can download Ascend at the App Store or the Play Store under Ascend Community. And you can learn more about my book on my website as well. There will soon be an I'mAscendingNowWhat.com, and probably in January. And I'll be probably traveling a lot next year to speak and teach, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Great. So everybody check that out. We're at the time of the show where I provide a few downloads for my guests. You ready to receive, Sydney? I
Yes.
don't, I'm not trying to hook your power now, just share things.
Show
After
me what
this
you
is good.
got.
It's like all these readings and all this stuff. Okay, just yeah, see if I've got some things that are coming through that want to be shared today for Sydney. Okay, so I'm just gonna yeah, get a little more centered for a second, just start sharing what's coming through. So they're just pointing back to what they were telling me before I jumped into the office before we is just I just go with what comes through. I have no idea what the truth is. I always say, but usually people are like, "That's totally true." So I'm just getting this Lemurian energy. I keep getting, and that again with all this multidimensional energy that you're connected with. I'll just put it that way, that there's this mastery of the energies that you're participating in is what it seems like, and that you're here to help others to do that. Now they may not all be Lemurian, but I have a feeling like that's like the people that really want to go deep with you probably have a lot of that in them. Probably have a lot of that in them. So
Mhm.
like I'm no expert on the Lemurians and everything. I'll just share what comes through. I always tell people I do read more than ever lately because I used to not read hardly at all for a long time. But yeah, anyway, I just share things as they come through. So, but yeah, this energy, sort of energy mastery, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that for now. But yeah, but it is around joyful, easy manifestation. But like it's realize it's more about the awakening aspect of it though. Like you see what's available, like in the energies,
Mm,
even more than like what's going to happen out here. Like
mm.
see what's here for you. You didn't even see that yet, did you? Okay, but you always kind of do it, right? And so I'll just see work with you on
Mhm.
it. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, that's fun ways that things share the messages. Something about American woman. So, but yeah, you could. like just playing that song, but it's saying instead, like these lyrics come through in different ways. I'm an American woman. I can see right through you. So, in other words, like where there's pitfalls, like people are like, well, like you're just like, yeah, I see as you are. Okay, no problem. Like somebody comes in and they're like I have a problem. This is what I think. Oh, and then you have these just really clear messages to share that may have nothing to do at all. What does they just start saying? But bring them instantly into that peace and calm in the nervous system. So I love that. I love that. Thank you. All right, so let's see what else comes through. I don't know. I just hear bliss bomb. Like I just feel this energy coming in and just like, oh, like bliss bomb baths or something. I get these different words come through. Bliss bomb baths. It's just, yeah, like there's something about this bathing yourself in it. So like it's like also I'm seeing this doesn't normally happen, so I don't want this to seem weird, but like I get a naked kind of energy, and it's like really like to be so pure and transparent as who you are and the bliss of that. That's what's coming through. So
beautiful innocence. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God. So yeah, so anyway, so those are the downloads, and any quick comments or thoughts on any of that before
completely right on. Yeah, well, I was just living in Hawaii for the last 3 years, which is Lemuria, and I was really on site at some of the most powerful Lemurian sites on the planet, and working very strongly with that energy, and very familiar with my lineage there and star lineage even before there. And it makes a lot of sense that you would bring through that affirmation right now. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure. All right, and everybody, if you want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. If you want me to tune into your energy around your purpose and who you are in your business, get the energy scan consultation if you want to. It's right there on my website. Unlike most consultations, you actually have to invest in mine because it's that powerful. It's so awesome. I gotta just say, it is, and I believe it is too, but just based on what everybody tells me. Okay, so if you want to see too practically how to expand your business, you'll totally get that through that experience as well. It's practical, and it's also got some depth to it, and me seeing you and what's wanting to unfold. All right, and then the last thing is just there's a meditate and make money meditation there. It's just a beautiful, nice little meditation. Open up your energies, get the energy, connected energies turned on. Yes, calm down the nervous system as well with that, and just like get these insights and just feels constant strengthening of your money energy. So check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. Okay, Sydney, I always like to give the guests the last words. But any last words for everybody? Light language, maybe?
Yeah, well, my light language comes through in English a lot. So
okay, that's fine. That's good.
I really feel listening also to my guidance here. Who you are being in this moment is enough. Who you are being in this moment is all that's required. Who you are being now is the key to heaven on earth, embodied into form. Who you are being is the key. Who you are being is all that is required to be here and now. Thank you.
And so it is. Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh my God. So just so grateful. Thank you again, Sydney, for being on the show today. It was awesome.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Daniel.
And for everybody else, keep on tuning in. We're so grateful for you to tune in each time. Keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here on Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time.
Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.